Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. We're back here with some more Star Citizen, out here in open space with the wonderful Anvil Gladiator. I recently melted down my Jean Scout to obtain this ship, and I'm very excited about it. It's actually a ship that I'm a huge fan of visually, and also it's, for the sake of its purposes. The fact that it's sort of this dual-purpose bomber slash possible, small cargo ship. I see a lot of potential for this ship, what you could do with it in the future of the game if everything comes to fruition. And, at the core, it's all about the looks and the fact that it can carry bombs. That pretty much does it for me. And it's also a small-scale ship, because you do have the Retaliator, which has those massive torpedoes. But that's a little bit too large for me. Maybe one day. I'm more into the smaller fighter craft type ships, and this is definitely the definition of a light bomber here. We've got these striker missiles mounted down here, like a red hot cherry, that warhead. Look at that thing. Boom. I love them. It's sad that we can't fire them just yet. I'm really looking forward to being able to shoot those with something. I think that's a missed opportunity out here in free mode that CIG needs to recognize. Is give us some targets out here, man. Like, where's the space weather balloons? I want to shoot some, watch them go pop. And maybe some explosions as well. Just give us thermite inside of a space weather balloon and let us shoot at it. That's what I say. You can just paint a Vandal's face on it, It'd be really funny. No, but seriously, I would love some targets out here. And I think that would give them a way to implement certain weapon systems into the game before having to worry about implementing them into actual PvP and Arena Commander. We could practice the missiles and just paint targets on the asteroids. I don't know, I just want to fire those damn missiles at something. Please. And I can imagine when the Retaliators in games, people are going to be very excited to drop those huge torpedoes on something. Those are just crazy. I can't even... They're as long as this ship, without a doubt. They're damn close, if not larger. It's just... Whew. The perspective of scale that this game captures, it's one thing it does very well already. And, if and when I'm flying next to one of those torpedoes on my personal little bombing run to the Idris that those same torpedoes are going to, or the Bengal carrier, it's going to be one hell of a good day. We'll see if we ever make it there. But yeah, here's the Anvil Gladiator. Visually, I really love the Anvil ships. I've talked about this before. I love the Hornet, that retro sort of style that it has. And I think the Gladiator, it shares a lot of those characteristics, especially in its nose. But you've also got this like extra armor wrapped around the nose here. And then you've got this orange paint, which I love, man. It's a little bit on the inside of the ship as well, and the actual cockpit. There's something about that color. I mean, it's so like workhorse. This orange and this sort of grayish blue. I love that. I really do. I appreciate that design of the ship very much. It's retro sci-fi is what it is. I think that's why it attracts me so much, but it's pretty well fitted as well. We've got 2 M4A lasers, 1 on each side. We've also got 4 missiles on each side. And then, like I said, we got those 2 striker missiles. Sadly, cannot fire those right now. This is also alongside of the Cutlass, along with 1.1.1. One of the 2 ships that is that has a ball turret that another player can actually get inside of. Can't use it right now in PvP, but you can come out here in free flight, have another player land on here with you, and climb into the ball turret. So let's go ahead and check that out quickly. Pulling out your pistol, man. We're getting into the damn ship. Put the pistol away. Silly man. So obviously this is a big stepping stone for a lot of us, actually having another person inside of a ship. A lot of us are really looking forward to the multi-crew stuff. I know most of those people who are into multi-crew are looking for the larger ships, things like the Idris and so on and so forth. But for me, I'm really excited about the 2-player cooperative aspect of having a co-pilot in some of my ships. It's why I wanted the Avenger Trainer when they announced that. I really wanted that to be a ship that I could actually buy. For me, the big thing is looking forward with this game. My brother and I would love, this would be an amazing co-op game for us on the weekends, the few times I get to sit down and play games with him. The idea of me and him roaming about the galaxy of Star Citizen in a ship together would just be fantastic. It's not something I can see him spending a lot of time in, so I don't know that right from the get-go he'd be interested in even getting his own ships and flying. So the idea of him hopping in a ship with me, going out, doing some 2-person, boarding or bombing runs, and then heading back to, do some ground combat. It's just a lot of speculation, obviously. I don't like to speculate too much about this game. I did that with my Imagine videos, and I'm kind of, past that. Now I just want to see what's coming. And yeah, that the whole idea of having a co-pilot, though, very exciting. I hope that they take that as serious as they're talking, and that it ends up being a really viable opportunity for, you know, cooperative experiences into the future of the game. That's something I really want to do. But here we are in the ball turret. Like I said, you hop into free flight, you can grab another friend, get him in the back of the ship, and have him shoot at asteroids. Pretend there's baddies, you can roleplay. Fly around the corner, we got 2 bogeys on our tail. Don't get cocky, kid. You can pretty much recreate those moments, so if you want to do that, go ahead. The ball turrets move very slowly currently. I'd like to see these things be something that is, they're like wicked fast. You know, they have really high sensitivity when it comes to rotation. And then you can have sort of like a fine aiming trigger. So very much like you see in the Star Wars films, when they're in the Millennium Falcon engaging those TIE fighters, those ball turrets on that thing are wicked fast. I mean, they rotate like so quick. If you could have that, and then have like left trigger or right mouse click, you know, whatever set up, so you sort of slow down and then you start aiming, I think that would be cool. That would add this like this miniature level of skill, you know, that you'd have to develop, this small learning curve where you'd have to get really good at using that really fast spinning pod movement and then using that to quickly acquire targets. I think that'd be a pretty cool feeling, you know, because this right now, this is a very World War II ball turret. It's very slow. Takes forever to rotate and shoot what's behind you. A lot of that could be because of sensitivity settings that I could modify, but I think just as a whole, to see it in a base sensitivity for the ball turrets be much higher than anything else would be a really cool feature. Climb on out. Like every ship in the game, it's immaculately detailed. Not really here to do a ship review, but I mean, obviously that's a big draw to all of the ships in Star Citizen, is the amount of detail that has been put into them, even when playing on medium settings like I currently am. It's just a very pretty ship. So let's go ahead and fly the damn thing. Sort of goofy animations here always seem to bug out, sadly, but I'll climb our way back in. We're gonna fly about. Just not much to talk about with its characteristics. I mean, it's a ship that flies well. You know, I could see its capability for very precision strike runs on larger ships. You know, it's definitely there. It's not like it's a sloppy ship. I mean, it shouldn't be. It's not cheap in the world of Star Citizen or in real life, for that matter. And then in the same vein, you know, it is a heavier ship. Carrying those missile racks, it's just a larger ship in general. It has much more surface area. What that does, though, is that creates a lot of, you know, sort of drag when you're dropping down. Which I guess is just kind of like the... I don't know, that's a good characteristic for a bomber, I guess you could say, in space. The ability to really swoop in and then use a lot of its wing space, its wing, all that open wing surface area to really slow the ship down at the last moment, drop those missiles, bombs, whatever you're carrying, and deliver your payload, and then get the hell out of Dodge.
Warning. You are approaching simulation boundary.
Yeah, simulation boundary this. It's a very maneuverable ship. I mean, it rotates quickly, you know, it's pretty agile considering its size. It's not actually that big of a ship either, though, you know? It's slightly bigger than the Hornet. It has, like I said, those extra wing bits, you know, larger thrusters to compensate for that, and of course, you know, the larger cargo area for that bomb bay and whatever else you might decide to attach. I guess one thing to also note is that even though these ball turrets in the Cutlass and in this ship, you know, can now be manned by players, they're still hooked up to your gimbal system. So for me, head tracking, they're still gimbaled. You can still go ahead and blast away with those things up there. Which is why, you know, I want to see more systems for the co-pilot implemented apart from shooting. You know, the ability for them to overtake, you know, take over certain systems in the ship, you know, to take full control of the power management system so they can worry about that while I'm flying the ship. You know, I don't have to multitask as much. I think that's what those features like that are something that a lot of people are really excited for. But not much else to talk about with the ship. You know, I don't really, as always with these ships, I hate going into Vandal Swarm. I find it boring as hell. Not really interested in doing PvP in this ship, although it is an Anvil ship, so it's probably a bit tanky. So maybe we'll see about doing a video with that later on and seeing how well these weapons hold up. The issue is, there's just certain weapons that people are equipping to some of those Hornets now in PvP that are just so overpowered. I mean, dogfights should be elongated, you know, battles of wit, essentially, inside of your ships. And that's not what Arena Commander is. It's just... it really very much has turned, once again, into this just Hornet stomp fest. Not only are the Hornets tanky as hell, they ram through just about everything else, the weapons that they can put on those ships Some of the weapons that are in the game now are just like one-shot shotgun kills. It's kind of stupid, but last thing I wanted to talk about before we go ahead and roll out of here was a little bit more about the Xbox gamepad that I'm using. Now, people ask me for my sort of key binding layout, and I mean, we can vaguely go over that. We'll take a look at it right now. I'm not gonna like go into every single detail of all the button presses. I'll show you guys like what the key mapping looks like, and really just want to talk about some of the benefits that you actually get from this. I think the first one being that you're forced to manually control your throttle, whereas when you use something like the HOTAS, it actually automatically decreases the throttle when you start to bank. That doesn't happen with the Xbox controller. Obviously, you're losing airspeed because you're banking, but it doesn't decrease the throttle. The throttle sort of just stays on max, so it'll instantly recover itself. I mean, that's a positive and a negative depending on the situation, so you have to focus on manually braking and lowering the throttle. Which I don't know if that's just the weird, the weird way that the HOTAS is implemented in the game. Maybe that'll change. I would think that you should have to manually decrease throttle. It's also a lot easier in the HOTAS, just having the throttle and being able to decrease it, but it's not terrible with the bumpers on the controller. That's my current setup. But I think the biggest benefit with the controller, we talked about this in the last video. A lot of people commented about, just being able to use it for everything, but that doesn't just apply to being able to use it for everything, like, hey, I'll be able to use it for first-person combat walking around. If we go ahead and slow down here, it also is, I mean, I can actually float through space while I do this. It's very easy to manipulate all of our systems. So we go ahead and we hit the back button here, and boom, disable all these weapons, boom, turn off the missiles, turn off our cannons. We can go over here, we can just manually disable and enable all of our different firing groups just on the fly. We can go ahead and toggle over to our power system, shut down our shields, shut down our propulsion, disable everything, go into sort of ghost mode here and just float, and then turn it all back on.
Shields charging. Weapon system offline.
I mean, it's very easy. Let's turn these all back on. And boom, we're back in space. We're good to go. Just like that, It's so quick and simple, and it doesn't require you to like leave your controls, to put the controller down, go to the mouse and keyboard. You don't have to bounce back and forth between things. It's all just there, and the D-pad is a very quick way of navigating menus. I love that. I mean, it's just no other way about it. It's efficient, it works well, and it's so smooth and responsive. It's just another benefit of using the controller. It really is. But all right, let's talk a little bit about the key bindings before we go ahead and roll out of here. So basically what I'm running, my left stick is my pitch and my roll. My right stick is set up for my yaw. Now this is where things are going to get different depending on how you play Star Citizen. If you run track IR, you don't have to worry. You can use the right stick for whatever the hell you want. You can use it for roll, pitch, yaw. You can set up those two joysticks however you please, southpaw, whatever you want to do with them. But if you don't have track IR, you're going to need to keep that right stick for your gimbaled weapons, unless you're just going to run everything on locked all the time. But I mean, obviously there's a benefit to the gimbal weapon, so you're gonna want to make that decision for yourself there. Left bumper currently set up to decrease throttle. Right bumper set up to increase throttle. We've got our right trigger for our primary. Left trigger isn't really doing much of anything right now. It's basically a modifier for my right stick for using strafing. Essentially, it's basically just lets me strafe. Haven't really come up with any solid setups with that. And then all the other buttons are just set up for a bunch of other things. I'm not really sold on anything yet. I'm kind of changing the buttons all the time. Once I feel like I have something that I think is good, that people could, that is, like intuitive, I'll share it with people. But right now, it's just so bare bones. It's sloppy. I think more people would be confused learning this system if I shared the config than anything. So, I mean, go about, keep working on your own right now. When I feel like I have something good, I will definitely share the config file with you guys. For those of you running a gamepad, that was our right wing. It's just, I think it's gone. It's definitely damaged. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I just don't really want to share it yet. It's not done. When it is done, I will more than happily share it with you guys, though. But that's gonna do it. Let me know what you guys think of the Anvil Gladiator. As big SC fans, is this a ship that you've been looking forward to? Do you like that sort of the idea of being a bombing guy? I really like the idea of being a precision bomber. I think there's a huge level of intensity to that sort of role that I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that pans out in the full game. And of course, if you have any questions for me regarding anything, my Xbox gamepad setup, anything at all, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.